I've never actually watched the Bradley Wiggins hour record. So I found some footage because I'm intrigued to see what it was all about, like if there's anything I could learn from it. So the main battle Bradley Wiggins will be fighting for this hour is with his own mind, trying to convince him that he's actually human and that pain is real. Never mind mechanical doping, I wonder if Bradley Wiggins is actually just a robot, if they've checked for a hidden motor inside Bradley Wiggins. So it's just interesting for me to think what it would be like for me to think that I needed to hit 420 watts consistently for an entire hour. Like, actually, how long could I hold 420 watts for? It's insane. I think I can hold 420 watts for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. 420 watts for 10 minutes. That would, yeah, maybe. I just wonder what would happen when you got to those 10 minutes holding 420 watts. Is it a bit like Back to the Future when you reach 88 miles an hour, where you're like, actually, I could hold this for another 50 minutes. So what I was really curious to see was the cadence. So I know that he held 105 cadence for the hour, but I just wanted to see myself what that looked like. Famously in cycling, Bradley Wiggins is known for dropping his heel in his pedal stroke. So I just wanted to see what Bradley Wiggins was doing, compare pedal strokes basically. He's not got his legs straight at all even during the lowest part of the pedal stroke, and that's obviously because of his TT position, so he's much lower on the bike. But that's interesting, that the angle. So depending on your position on the bike, it's going to allow you to control the form of your pedal stroke. So if your seat post is too high, your leg is going to be too extended in the bottom stroke to allow you to control the form of your pedal stroke. So I feel with my position on the bike at the moment, I'm too extended in the bottom of my pedal stroke, and I need to bring my saddle height down a little bit so that even when I'm not in some aero position, I can still control the form of my pedal stroke. I can still control the angle that my heel is tilted at, because I'd like to experiment in where the placement of my heel angle is during the entire pedal stroke, and I can't do that unless my saddle height is probably a little bit lower than it is right now. But yeah, Bradley Wiggins keeps his heel incredibly flat for a prolonged period of time and then kicks it up. The thing with his pedal stroke is that everything about it looks intentional. Bradley Wiggins is the master of his bike here. The way that he pushes the power from his legs, the glucose-derived ATP power through his legs and into those pedals with perfect form. And then 105 cadence to induce as little fatigue metabolites as possible over an hour period of time. So if you have to go for an hour at maximum power, 105 cadence is the perfect point at which you're getting optimal power and minimum fatigue. I just find it so interesting to think what he must be thinking in the moment, because I think that would be, never mind the form of his pedal stroke, what I really want to know is what Bradley Wiggins is using to focus on in the moment. In this moment now, what is Bradley Wiggins focusing on? That is the secret sauce. Pain is relative. Everyone is going to feel pain at some point. It's just that Bradley Wiggins is doing it at 440 watts. But he's still going to feel pain at some point. It's all relative. And so what he's using to focus on in the moment to convince himself that he's inhuman and that pain doesn't exist, that's the secret sauce. That's what I want to know. Even when you're on insane meds that are going to block out pain, at some point you're still going to have to feel pain, and you're still going to have incredible mental focus to keep going. But yeah, it's so interesting to see just the consistency, the smoothness, the smooth, consistent pedal stroke, lap after lap of the same laminate flooring passing underneath you. Your brain is going to be telling you, I don't want to see that again, please stop. The boredom. This is just one step up from cycling on some rollers for an hour with nothing in front of you. The focus you must have to have is insane. That is the real That is the real battle, is the focus you'll have to have in order to do something like this. The will. The will that you're going to succeed in pushing 40 odd watts. My theory is that he's just focusing on something trivial in the moment, like his pedal stroke form. Every degree of Bradley Wiggins' pedal stroke looks at the same time effortless and with intent. Just hours of training, hours of practice, hours of practicing perfect pedal form, being OCD with it. And then when you practice it enough, it just becomes muscle memory, and all you have to do is focus on that last 1 trivial percent, keeping everything in check. So even 192 laps in, his form still looks the same. It all still looks as it did 50 laps before this, and then 50 laps before that. That's what creating muscle memory does. Even when every cell in your body is crying out for you to stop, your muscle memory takes over and you can still push an effortless pedal stroke at 440 watts after 200 laps of a velodrome. It's just kind of fascinating to watch what it actually takes to perform something like that. How effortless you need to be if you want to get anywhere close to breaking an hour record. How every degree of your pedal stroke needs to be spot on for an entire hour with intent, pushing 440 watts. What interested me the most watching that for the first time was not his cadence or his technique, but what was going on in his head. Just realizing that it's all about mental focus. I want to lobotomize Bradley Wiggins' brain and find out exactly what is going on in there, because that will be the secret sauce. If you could find out what he was focusing on and transplant that into your brain, then you'll be able to push your maximum power for an hour. Is he going to go for an hour record on the road bike now? I can't wait for the crowd in the TT position. Someone get me a road bike. So comment down below what you thought of Bradley Wiggins' hour. Do you think he was on all the drugs or do you think he was full natty? And do you think taking all those drugs would have helped him? Or is it all about the mind and the focus? Or do you think maybe he took some drugs that help with that mental focus? It doesn't matter how many drugs you take, how many painkillers you take. It's still going to be a point that you reach where you're going to feel exactly the same pain as a weekend warrior, even when you're Bradley Wiggins. It's all relative. And it's how you deal with that pain, how you block it out, what your focus is in the moment. That's what makes the difference.